Hey, what's going on? What's going on, guys? This is your man, Real Deal, Steele, coming to you live on this pleasant Thursday, or Tuesday. It is Tuesday, July 13th, 2021. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, ladies, and everyone in between. Who do we got in the chat? We've got the Beef Supreme, Slay Blaze, Sliding Edge, Roll Low Roller Scratcher. Say that 3 times fast. Zero Fox, and Slay Blaze, and a few others. People are still a Ghost of Daniel, Rachel. Welcome. She said, "Great intro. Thank you for that." Feels like a Thursday thanks to the crypto crash. Yes. I got a couple super chats starting things off strong with some nice super chats. I love it. Sliding Edge coming with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Sliding Edge. Appreciate that. Tell Nick I'm listening in on my earbuds at the gym. I'm coming for you, bruh. Healthy for me, strong for Doge. P.S. I bought the dip. All right. Thank you, Sliding Edge. Sliding Edge again with $2. Beef tastes great in wallet and my plate. I think that's a reference to beef. Beef's, is Beef still a project that's going? Beef's crypto? Apparently it is. Are you watching MM coin? Are you talking about Millionaire coin? Is that? I'm not sure if that's what MM stands for. Guys, if I could ask you to smash that like button. Just take a moment to do that. It really does help out the channel a lot. If you haven't done that already, I want you to smash that like button like you'd smash your childhood celebrity crush. It's honestly the number one thing you can do to help a channel like this get up in front of more viewers, work through those tricky YouTube algorithms. Also, if you're brand new here, I'd like to invite you to subscribe. Join our vibrant little community here. We'd love to have you a part of it as we ascend to the moon together and beyond. And then lastly, if you feel compelled to super chat anywhere throughout this show, this broadcast, that's obviously hugely appreciated for all my time and efforts. So feel free to field myself or my co-host with whatever questions or comments you like this evening. At this time, without any further ado, I would like to bring on a co-host with the most. It is the one and only Dogecoin millionaire, Nick Ballz. Nick, what's going on, man?
Back, baby.
He's back. He took a break, and he and I had back-to-back B-days, back-to-back birthdays. Isn't that right?
Yeah. How was your birthday, Steve?
Yeah, it was pleasant. It was good. Had a lot of birthday cake, big chocolate homemade birthday cake. Did you indulge in such activity?
Oh, my God. So my grandma and her boyfriend came over on Sunday.
Yeah.
And we always, for all the birthdays, we live right by it. Have you ever had Lou Malnati's pizza?
No, I have never had. I'm familiar with Lou. I'm familiar with it, but I haven't had it.
I describe it as the Cadillac of pizzas.
Wow, that's quite a title.
Yeah. So we got Lou's. My grandma lives in Peoria, so there's this Hungarian bakery down there that makes their own chocolate, like triple chocolate birthday cake. Ooh. They made a special McLaren chocolate cake for me with like the McLaren 720 printed on it. It was pretty cool.
Ooh. So, wow. You had you got a homemade McLaren chocolate cake?
Yeah.
That's
Haven't
hilarious.
eaten the McLaren yet though, but
that is hilarious.
On my birthday, I stayed at my girlfriend's, so that's why I didn't have any cell service, but we ended up we went to go see The Quiet Place 2.
I didn't know there was even a sequel to that.
It just came out. It's streaming, and it's also in theaters, and admittedly, pretty good.
Yeah?
Not bad, not amazing. It wasn't the greatest, but I thought it was pretty good. I didn't realize, my girlfriend likes scary movies. We watch scary movies all the time at home. But she was jumping out of her seat like 4 or 5 different times. It was hilarious.
Wow. I saw the first one, I quite liked it, and I saw that one in the theater when it came out. I think close to not that. It wasn't that long ago that even the first one came out.
Years?
Yeah, maybe 2 years. Yeah.
John Krasinski wrote that thing. He did a pretty good job.
He did a great job in it. He did a really good job, and obviously, he's not starring in the second one because of the way the last one ended, right?
Correct, but he is in the beginning.
Huh.
So people were kind of mad about that, but like people who got mad about John Krasinski not being in the second one clearly didn't watch the first one. Because, it's kind of hard to come back from that. So
right. Ivan, coming in with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Ivan. Appreciate that, man. One quote I'll never forget: "Don't panic." Elon Musk. Yeah, that is a good one to keep in mind during these times, Ivan.
On the topic of panicking, I do have a big announcement to make.
Yeah. Okay. A panicking announcement. Go ahead.
I just tweeted at you. If you want to pull it up, you can. If
all right.
Whatever.
All right.
I tonight just ended my relationship with Binance US.
Oh, I thought you were going to say your girlfriend.
No. Dude, but you know how fat my inbox would be on fire in like 2 seconds. No, I would never do that. At least I wouldn't publicly admit it. But no, I am now a customer of Kraken. I sold all of my BNB for Bitcoin. Sold my BNB for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I have a lot of concerns about Binance. I've had a lot of concerns. You know, for those who know, I bought BNB at about 500, so I lost about 30 grand on that deal. But 30 grand to lose 30 grand in the grand scheme of things is a loss that I am willing to take, just based off of what's going on with Binance right now. And
wow.
I've seen so many. I've seen so many exchanges fold in my day that
you're seeing some warning signs.
I'm seeing a lot of warning signs from Binance. So many we could get into it, but there are so many warning signs coming from Binance that it's just unfathomable. And with that being said, I have as I've mentioned before, I have a friend who works at Kraken. He lives 5 minutes away from me. You know, if I need to talk to anybody, not only that, I requested the pro deposit from Kraken, which you have to formally request to be able to withdraw the amount of money that I'm withdrawing, hundreds or thousands or millions of dollars. And they not only did a live person talk to me directly, they did it within a matter of 10 minutes. So I have a connection with Kraken. You know, I like the way they do business, and I'm very confident in this decision.
Wow. So you rolled over everything over to Kraken?
Just my day trading portfolio. I have Bitcoin in a cold storage. I have most of my Dogecoin on cold storage. I've got most of my Litecoin on cold storage, but just the amount of crypto that I was actively day trading.
Including your BNB. So what has become of your BNB?
My BNB has magically transformed into Bitcoin.
That's probably a good bet. You know, I was much more bullish about BNB up until the last about month and a half, you know.
Yeah, it just, you know what? Like I said, I took a loss. You know, I am taking a loss here on BNB. But, you know, I don't care. $30,000, like I said, in the grand scheme of things, I'd rather take a $30,000 hit than a $100,000 hit. So, yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what is the predominant difference that you've noticed what's going on with Kraken that you find to be superior to what's going on at Binance?
I got to have dinner with them. I mean, I got to meet the people from Kraken. You know what I mean? Like, I know who they are. I know where they live. They're actually. I don't know if I should be saying this live on the air or not, but I guess I will. Kraken is actually opening its own bank. So Kraken will be its own bank.
Wow.
And the bank is located in the U.S.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
So you don't have to worry about liquidity problems. Like, Papadogio got a notification from Binance. I don't know if you recall the last time he was on the air. He mentioned he got a notification from Binance that he couldn't withdraw any funds. His account was suspended. It's because of liquidity problems. They don't have enough money.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bad sign.
Yeah, real bad.
Anytime there's liquidity problems, get out.
Mm-hmm.
This is not financial advice. I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm just saying I've seen this happen. I've seen this happen for years and years now. It happened to Cryptsy, which is where I first bought all my Dogecoin. It happened to Mt. Gox. There's countless exchanges that this has happened to, and I don't want to be wrapped up in that. Granted, only a fraction of my portfolio is on an exchange at any given time, so I'm minimizing my overall risk. However, I do like to keep I like to keep as many doors open as I possibly can.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, understandably so. Well, it's I guess it's time to release the Kraken, man.
Release the Kraken.
Yeah, I have to say I've always been fairly underwhelmed with Binance. But then again, I've been fairly underwhelmed with most crypto platforms and exchanges.
To be fair, to give Binance credit where credit is due, their user interface is the best by all. Like, their user interface for trading is top notch. It is, and admittedly so. I talked to my friend over at Kraken tonight. He's like, yeah, like they have a better user interface. It's true. However, user interfaces mean nothing if you can't take your money out. So ultimately, I will take a more complex or hard to navigate user interface over, bank issues every day of the week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit. Crypto Tank Girl, Ever Safe Moon made me $2,000, and now I get to buy a GPU for my new computer. Congrats on that. It kind of gets me thinking where it sounds like that is BSC trading done correctly, and this is what I talk about in this show a lot, where don't be afraid to sell when you're up and not to get too greedy. Just sell when you're up, take your gains and keep it moving. And that is, in my opinion, the most advantageous way to play that game in those high risk, high volatility markets. So good for you, Crypto Tank Girl. Let me see what I had a few things I wanted to get to here tonight, Nick. One of them is the entire market is obviously significantly down right now, except for a few exceptions. And one of those exceptions is Upcoin. Upcoin is been doing very well. Upcoin's been very bullish this week. So congrats to our good friend Upshot on that. I recently jumped on the Upcoin bandwagon and bought some Upcoin myself. It's been going pretty well. I'm pulling up a chart here right now, the 24-hour chart.
It's basically, it's not at all-time highs, but it's pretty much at all-time highs.
Yeah. I'm going to put a chart up on the screen for a few minutes for Upcoin here, and we can kind of just take a look at it, Nick. Here we go. Go ahead.
I am an Upcoin holder as well.
Oh, you are? Yeah, I wasn't even sure if you were.
Yeah, I'm actually next time I go on Papa Upshot show, I'll be putting my little tipping address in there if anybody wants to send me some. I think it's a great concept. I think it's a great idea. My only issue with Upcoin is that it was a BSC, where I think it probably would have been a safer bet to create it on ERC20. I think the only thing he could have done differently or better or whatever, only criticism I have is that I think it would have, in the long run, might perform better on ERC20. But that remains to be seen. It's just so many uncertainties with Binance as a whole. That doesn't apply to the entire BSC chain, but you just...
Yep.
It's hard to say, you know?
It's hard to say. Yeah, it's hard to say. Yeah, I would agree with that. But other than that, the main reason why I'm in on Upcoin is because, honestly, it's just because I like Upshot and I find him to be a very upstanding person and trustworthy person and just a great guy. And I know he works hard. I know the project, in my opinion, is in great hands, honestly. So that is the main reason why I personally got behind it. And I think it's already proving, for now anyway, to be a pretty solid investment. And I think the way that it's being structured in terms of there's no paid influencers, there's no shillers, anything like that. He's going for a more a very organically based growth with this project. And I think Upshot's reputation really will continue to precede him on this project. And consequentially, I think there's a pretty good probability of continued success with it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, I think the he really he made it very simple. I think last time we spoke on the show, I gave him props because it's not trying to be all of these different things all at the same time. It's just very simple. The coin, not even tokenomics, the amount of coins in circulation, everything. There's no reflections. There's no jargon. It's just very user friendly. I think he really nailed that one.
Yeah, and it's a very simple setup. There is no tokenomics involved. There's no charity angle involved. It's very straightforward. And let me ask you this, just to be devil's advocate here, because I did post a tweet yesterday, basically stating that I came on board the Upcoin wagon here, and not all the comments were positive. I did receive a certain amount of criticism. I wouldn't say that any of it was incredibly hostile, though a few of the comments were fairly disparaging. And the main contention seems to be this, that the primary utility of Upcoin is tipping, which is in direct conflict and competition to Dogecoin, as Dogecoin was always meant to be used for tipping as well. What do you make of that criticism, Nick?
Well, I don't think that Upcoin is taking anything away from Doge. Clearly, we're talking about apples and oranges here. And yeah, they're as far as the Dogecoin tip bots haven't existed in 7 years. So, there is a space in the market for some type of coin or token to step in and make that comeback again. I think that Upshot is doing a great job with promoting and keeping his project on the right path. And there's he's a good dude. He's done a lot for the community. It seems like he's got a bunch of good people working on it. I don't have anything negative to say about it. And I think the people who find negative stuff to say about they'll say it about any crypto influencer who creates their own project. Like, and yeah, some of them are bad, some of them are good. But all in all, you know, Upshot is a pretty stand-up guy. And I think we could all agree that his crypto is still so far in its infancy stages that, you know, who knows, in years and years from now, like, that's the test. The real true test comes in a long time. So we'll see where it goes. And I it looks great. I wish him well, and I own some. So, you know, I've got skin in the game too.
Yeah. You know, I always try to look at these things as objectively as possible. And that being said, I don't know. I'd have to go back and see if Upshot said this specifically, but I think he may have inferred at least that Upcoin, I think Upshot said something to the effect of, I think this is what was rubbing a few of these people the wrong way, was that Upshot said that even though Dogecoin was meant to be this big tipping currency, it just hasn't evolved that way anymore. And now it's on to being like the goal and the trajectory of being the digital dollar of sorts, you know, which is fair. I think that's fair to say. And so he's more saying, so Upcoin is going to, wants Upcoin to fill that void, consequential to that evolution of Dogecoin. And maybe there could have been, just in all fairness, maybe there could have been a little more clarity in terms of my position on this. And I can't put words in Upshot's mouth, certainly something I'd like to ask him about, but I don't ever see or want Upcoin to take the place of the practice of digital tipping with Dogecoin. I encourage tipping with Dogecoin as well. I more just see Upcoin as an alternative, an extension ran by somebody really, who I feel somebody's really great, a really honest person at the helm, that is growing a project the way it should be grown from what I've seen. And I like that there's everything about the project is very, very straightforward and isn't relying on a lot of the gimmicks that most other BSCs are doing. So that's my position on it, to be clear. I don't see this as a total replacement of the practice of Doge tipping. I just see it as complementary to it, and I don't see this as a direct threat in any capacity to Dogecoin at all. Do you?
No, certainly not. I mean, it's a token. It's not a coin. You know what I mean? Like, it's called Upcoin, but it's not a coin. It's a token. So yeah, you don't. There's no tokens in the top 10. You know what I mean? Will there ever be a day? You know, who knows? Maybe. But yeah, I don't see there being any issue with Papa Upshot creating his own token, and clearly people like it. Otherwise they wouldn't be buying it. So yeah, I think that overall doesn't hurt the Doge community at all. In fact, it might even be good for the Doge community. It teaches other people about, like, using MetaMask, swapping, stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think it'll. I wish Papa Upshot all the best luck in the world, but I don't think it'll ever be a multi, 10 plus, $billion token. Like, it could happen.
You never know. You never know.
You never know. But in the let's just say in the near future, it's hard to, I don't think that's happening anytime soon. So just while it's in its infancy, have fun with it. That's what it's there for.
Right. Sliding Edge coming in with a $5 super chat. Upcoin adds to the Doge sphere and enriches the Doge arena versus S coins like, oh boy, like Dink Doink, nor does it try to steal thunder like the Shiba Inu. A point taken, Sliding Edge. And since, it's brought up in Super Chat, I will address it. This show was featured on one of the latest CoffeeZilla videos. Actually, a lot of my footage from this show was featured in one of his most recent videos.
You look great too, Steele.
Thank you so much. It was kind of funny to see my big mug up on the background of around his program, but I took a long nap that day. I woke up to countless messages telling me that the show was being featured on CoffeeZilla, and then I watched the video that it was featured in, about a 10 or 11 minute video. I was actually pretty cool with to what context I was used in the video and to how the show was portrayed, how I was portrayed. I think it was all very fair and seemed to be pretty positive in that regard. So I had the CEO of Dink Doink on the show to explain his project when it was first launching a couple weeks ago. And his name is Jake. Here's what I know, guys, and here's what I don't. My objective when I bring people on occasionally, and I don't do often, but occasionally I'll bring people on to talk about new crypto projects they're launching that I'm not necessarily super familiar with. My job, as I see it, as both a entertainer and a show host that obviously dabbles in a lot of crypto-centric hemispheres, is just to ask them all tough, critical questions in the most unbiased way I can, while at the same time affording the interviewee the benefits of the doubts. Okay? Now, some of the CEOs of Dink Doink's answers during that interview, some people found obviously inadequate. Obviously, CoffeeZilla found some of those answers to be eyebrow-raising. And he said, I asked good questions, etc. So, thank him for that. But at the same time, there seems to be a lot. Honestly, I'm not even comprehending all the information I've been provided and all the allegations I've been provided that people have shown me in regards to that project. So I do not feel comfortable at this time espousing what is going on there. I don't know if there's anything super nefarious going on there or not. I just don't know. And I think I rather default on the side of caution than just throw out big declarations and allegations without feeling super comfortable with total conclusive proof and evidence. So that is kind of the perspective where I come from. I have nothing against the CEO of Dink Doink. He's been nothing but very kind and very nice to me. But at the same time, if there's any foul play with that project, I honestly just don't know, guys, is what I'm saying. So with that in mind, I leave it up to my viewers to make up their own minds based off the information I have been able to present them through the questions and the information I've been able to bring before you guys, if that makes sense. Do you have any thoughts on this, Nick?
Yeah, Stephen. Well, I listened to pretty much that whole show, and you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, we don't know. clearly their project isn't doing great right now.
Right.
So I guess, if you planned on getting some, I guess now would be the time.
Yeah.
But I just, with these, just like any influencer coin or token in this case, there's so many factors really. I listened to the interview, I thought CoffeeZilla actually was kind of giving you props.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
You did ask legitimate questions and you weren't a dick about it either. Like,
right.
You were a nice guy. You just wanted to know some facts.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people we know some people out there, crazy kind of Alex Jonesy, people in crypto who think everything's a scam.
Yeah.
They'll want you to ask just straight up ask him, is it a rug pull? Is it a rug pull? Ask him. Well, first off, if anybody was going to rug pull, you think they'd tell you the truth?
Mm-hmm.
So you really have to walk a fine line and take what you will from, the questions that you can ask.
Right.
But I think you did a great job. And, this is why, just the way that he answered and the projection of what they're doing and what the project is about, it's not just Dink Doink, it's a lot. There's so many BSC projects right now that I wouldn't touch at all. And nor can I anymore because I don't own any more BNB. So, I just, I tell a lot of people in general, like, BSCs are a huge, huge gamble. And if you're cool with going to the casino and losing money, which just think of it like that. When you go to a casino, how many times do you walk out a winner versus losing? The percentage is very skewed. Like 9 times out of 10, you're not walking out with money, but people get addicted to that one time. So you just have to be very cautious with BSCs. And, if you want to support certain projects, because let's say for the example of Dink Doink, you like Jake Paul and you like the whole, you like their whole vibe that they got going on. Hey, nothing wrong with it. If that's for you, you like I think the cartoons are funny. I think, they had one of my favorite comedians, Tim Dillon, on there. Yeah, that's fine, but just don't lose your shirt over it. Treat it like a game, and you'll be okay.
Yeah, Sliding Edge coming in with $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Edge. If you paid for the Logan Paul fight and feel ripped off, I could see how people would be suspicious of Dink Doink. Steele did a great job in that interview. Thank you for that. And then I know that both Liv and Craig were invested in that project, and that they, I think Liv was asked to do some consulting, because she does have a lot of experience in that field. So she was asked, I think, to do some consulting and some advising on the rollout of it. And I know that there was kind of a fallout there. So even though Liv is a good friend of mine, I do want to have her on the show, and I want to ask her some questions about this ordeal from her perspective as well. Just in full transparency, and again, just let people make up what they want based on the answers there, because I know that there's some contention there. Honestly, I kind of get lost, Nick, in some of this stuff. I get to the point with some of these projects, so I'm like, I don't know. I'm just over the drama, and I'm just gonna keep it moving.
I totally agree with you. I saw some of that in the I'm not in the Telegram, but I saw some screenshots from their Telegram and noticed there was something going on there. What? No one's, I love how, and this is, part of part of the problem too is like these crypto beefs get started online, and everybody wants to say that there's something wrong, but nobody wants to say what's wrong. It's like, you have the easiest form in the world to just be like, this is screwed up, this is how we fix it, this is how we move on. Does anybody want to do that? No. Everybody wants to be all murky and muddy the water. It's like making it more complicated than it needs to be. Just say what's happening, move on. I can't stand that crap.
Well, but it's also, conversely, and you've seen it too, Nick, I know you have, from us, there's certain people too that also put me in hot water being in the position I am, as for lack of a better term. I'm not even that fond of the term influencer. I guess I would more call myself a talk show host maybe. But, people are like, hey, how come you're not calling this out as for sure a scam or this, that? I'm like, because I have a greater responsibility than just somebody with an alias profile with 0 followers on Twitter and like a fake avatar. I have a greater responsibility to people than that. Okay. So I don't think it's very responsible of me to deem something absolutely as a scam unless I know without a shadow of a doubt that's what's going on. And plus, in the event that it may not be a scam, this is potentially someone else's life project and their life savings wrapped up into this project. And then here I'm in a position to potentially do that project a lot of harm based off of maybe some transactions that look suspicious. But that's not enough, okay? That's not enough to for someone in my position to throw down the hammer of justice and deem them as a terrible, nefarious project. You know what I mean?
Look at CoffeeZilla. I don't know if you saw his latest video today, but he's getting sued by the guy from the guy who got kicked out of FaZe Clan for promoting Save the Kids.
Oh, really?
He got a lawsuit today.
Oh, I didn't see that video yet.
Yeah, you can't just come out and declare an absolute without being prepared to go to court, and second off, being absolutely 110% sure. Right. Like, you have to know that anybody can say anything online, doesn't make it true, and you, FaZe K, thank you, Carl's Jr. FaZe K suit, Carl's Jr. coming in clutch. But yeah, FaZe K is suing CoffeeZilla because of what he's saying, essentially. And now CoffeeZilla is in a position where, he thinks that here's the problem with crypto. He thinks he has the transactions right. Like, he thinks he has the all the wallet addresses correct, and all of his tracking and tracing is right. But he could be wrong. He doesn't, he doesn't know 100% who was behind that keyboard clicking that button. He doesn't know for sure, and he will tell you that he does, but he doesn't.
Yeah. Actually, that's a very good point. That's probably the biggest glaring flaw in his content. And I say this as someone who's generally I'm a fan of CoffeeZilla. I think he does a great job. I think he makes great quality content overall. I think the way he does it is very entertaining and funny and engaging. From an entertainment standpoint, particularly, I think he makes great content. But I think you're right there. At the end of the day, there are no names assigned to these wallet numbers. So even things where it looks without, what else could it be, right? And with some of these transactions, but you still you still can't be 100% sure. So if I was, well, I do, when I cover things like that, I make sure to put in those kind of, or do my best anyway, to put in those kind of allegedly, and those disclaimers. And, to be fair, I have seen some of these newer BSC projects that the activity on them right out of the gate does look nefarious. It does look rather questionable. It does look like a rug. And then guess what, though? After it going through a very difficult, rocky phase, it comes back. More investors come in. It gets.
You could say that about Upcoin.
Right.
Perfect example.
Right. So this is a great example, Nick. So there was chatter online from a few vocal, just a few people, but they were very vocal, basically alleging that Upcoin was a rug pull. And let's be something very clear. Number one, I just couldn't. Look, if Upcoin ends up being a rug pull, it's possible. But it's also possible, like, I could be struck by lightning in the next 5 seconds possible. Okay? The probability that a guy like Upshot would spearhead a rug pull would be the shock of the year. It really would. Is it possible? Sure. Is it likely? Incredibly unlikely, in my opinion, from everything I know about the guy. Number one. Number two, so Upcoin, when it first launched, it had a really nice spike, and then it crashed pretty good, but now it's found its legs again. It's doing pretty well again now. You guys, for people who have fashioned themselves to be these Sherlock detectives of this stuff, to be the arbiters, the judge, jury, and executioner on what are rugs and what aren't, let me just issue you guys a bit of humble advice, okay, from me to you. You really need to make a better effort of understanding what low liquidity means and the risks and volatilities by default that are associated with those low liquidity scenarios. So when you start a new project and you don't have a ton of investors, then what happens? It doesn't take much for it to affect the market value of that project, whether someone is buying or selling. Now, if someone, for example, if you take a really small project, I saw this happen with the Tiger King coin. I was watching that, observing that, where someone would come in with, a $40,000, $50,000 Ethereum investment, and that would inject into that project, and that would cause the market value, it'd cause a significant spike in the market value of that project. Conversely, I've seen a couple whales, and a whale in a project like that would be anything $10,000 or up. So I saw a few whales sell off recently, and it tanked the value of it pretty good, right? Now it's starting to stabilize and come back up again. So you have to understand, if you're going to enter, first of all, if you're going to be an investor in something like this, it's high risk, high reward. It's a low liquidity scenario. So it's more subject to higher levels of volatility than more established projects will be. Okay? That is not synonymous with a rug pull. A rug pull is something that's usually more premeditated. A lot of the overwhelming majority of the volume is kept on a few wallets. The devs, maybe the dev team, few dev team members, and the founder, and then all of that gets sold off, pretty quickly, and then we see things go sideways from there. But I think right now there seems to be a lot of confusion between what people define as a rug pull and what is just the inherent volatility of a new project. Do you have any thoughts on this, Nick?
Yeah, interestingly enough, Stephen, the same exact thing was said about Dogecoin 7 years ago, because there wasn't enough money in it that people, I had $10,000 in Doge back then, and I was in the top 1% of all Dogecoin holders at the time. If I would have sold at that time, I could have moved the market.
Yeah.
So this is what these are the issues that come along with creating a new project, and it is what it is. You just got to live with it. Like that's how it goes.
Yeah, no one's forcing you to invest in these projects, guys. So if you don't feel comfortable with the inherent higher risk involved, do not invest. Don't do it. Don't do it. Someone in the chat says, Handpan says, should we create Downcoin and label it as the Upcoin killer?
Oh, God. I'm surprised that already hasn't been done.
I feel like I should do it just for a joke and just the Upcoin killer. Downcoin. That's pretty good. That's pretty funny. I feel like someone might do it at least as a joke at some point. Handpan says again, that's it, Stephen. Low liquidity tokens are hostages to high capital people in the beginning. That's exactly right. Let's see. Guys, if you haven't smashed that like button, if you could take a moment to do that, it just takes a split second of your time. It really, really is the number one thing you can do to help out an emerging channel like this one. And also, if you feel compelled to super chat, that's obviously greatly appreciated for all my time and efforts. Feel free to ask myself or my co-host Nick here anything you'd like at this time as well. Hey Steve, what about Millions Coin? Look up the chart. I saw the chart. The chart looks bonkers. It's going wild. I haven't had enough time to really investigate it to know if it's how legit it is or not. So I just don't feel comfortable live on the air speaking about it any more than that this time. But I do know as of right now, the charting looks very strong for it. But be careful. Just be careful out there, guys, because that can all change real quick. Let's see here. Oh, let's just get on to another topic. I think we've done pretty good on this one. And just to add to that, the T-Cane coin today actually faltered big time after I would perceive it's probably the top whale. It looked like a sell-off of about $200,000, which on a really low cap coin like that had a very dramatic effect on it. And I'm taking a look at it now. It looks like it's coming back now, though. It looks like it's still under from where it was before that, but I'd say it's about 75% recovered since then. So this kind of stuff, these kind of investments, they're not for the faint of heart, folks. They're not for the faint of heart. Rolling Stone, Nick, had a really extensive article that they just released that I thought was pretty well done about Bitcoin. The article was called "The Welcome to the Church of Bitcoin," and basically they had a in-bed reporter embedded in the conference covering this thing, and I think they did a pretty good assessment of their experience at the Bitcoin conference, and I couldn't help but think about many of the same parallels and language that I've used on this show when discussing this particular culture. For example, the title of the article is "Welcome to the Church of Bitcoin," where the subtitle is "Thousands gathered in Miami to talk about the OG cryptocurrency, but instead of your typical finance conference, it had the feeling of a fringe religious event." Okay, so you kind of know where this is going, right? Let's see. And she talks about her experiences there, and one of them that stood out to me was this paragraph. Now, due to a comically ineffective checkout process, attendees were suspended in a mile-long line snaking through a corridor of an industrial warehouse, painted in brightly colored murals. Their t-shirts announced QR codes, Bitcoin catchphrases like hold, and in one case, the phrase "have fun staying poor" wrapped around a Bitcoin symbol in fat, bubbly cursive. Well, what is this conference about? A police officer asked. He raised one skeptical brow. I mean, you either have Bitcoin or you don't, right? As it turns out, Bitcoin provides a seemingly endless supply of material over to which to confer, a far-flung group of attendees eager to confer upon it. Tony Hawk, these are some attendees from the last Bitcoin conference. Tony Hawk, a professional skateboarder, is here. Jack Dorsey, CEO of Twitter, is also here. So is Floyd Mayweather, Congressman Ron Paul, Wyoming Senator Cynthia Loomis, YouTuber Jake Paul, an internet personality known as Heavy Armed Clown. Do you know what Heavy Armed Clown is, Nick?
Never heard of him.
Yeah, me either.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. The co-creator of newsletter described as dangerous economic dogma. So, we talked about this in the past where we saw some of this footage come out of this conference, right? Some of it was rather bonkers between Max, Max's antics, and then I think even much more egregious than Max Kaiser's antics were one of the other. His name is eluding me right now. It's not Michael Saylor, but there was a guy on a panel there that said, and I quote, I'm paraphrasing, if you are against it's something to the effect of, I am for Bitcoin hate in terms of like weaponized hatred on behalf of Bitcoin maximalism. And he said, and that is the right way to be. If you're against that, then you are against Bitcoin. And if you're against Bitcoin, you are against freedom. And to me, those just seem like, he said this to thunderous applause and reception. And to me, this sort of behavior and this sort of rhetoric is kind of ridiculous, pretty over the top, and kind of militant. I have not seen any evidence that this sort of perspective and culture has helped further or propagate Bitcoin anyway. I think it's had the opposite effect. In fact, I would go so far to say as Bitcoin maximalist culture has helped slow the whole market down, and consequentially slowed all the coins down, because these guys are kind of out there LARPing like they all think they're the goddamn protagonists in a Lord of the Rings movie. Do you have any thoughts on this sort of thing?
Well, Stephen, as you know, I was there. Well, not at the conference, but
yeah,
in the general area. I think what they failed to mention is, it was like 90 degrees out, and all these people were waiting in line, sweating their balls off, trying to get into this conference.
Yeah,
no pun. And I thought it was weird when Max Kaiser started handing out cups of Kool-Aid. I thought that was one of the strangest things ever. And it was, it's just, yeah, I guess they aptly named that article The Church of Bitcoin. It really was a interesting, weird, just a weird, weird night. Or a couple days, and the aftermath was even weirder. Like the people that stuck around for the like the ensuing days or the week after, just had a weird vibe. I enjoyed myself down in Florida, but there were definitely some odd crypto folks that lingered about as the dust settled. Yeah, The whole thing was strange. But it makes for good memes, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
At the very least of it.
Yeah, it definitely made for a lot of good memes and so much more. Jack, or sorry, I'm just assuming your name's Jack, but JMac35, thank you for the $5 super chat. Nick, where can I find the Bill and Ted phone booth? The Bill and Ted phone booth. That is funny. Do you have any
secret?
He said he's keeping it a secret.
A lot of people ask me for my time machine on a regular basis, and I could tell you, but it would to enter my time machine would rip apart the molecules of your terrestrial framework, and I'm afraid I don't want to hurt anyone.
Someone said Jim Jones, and to a certain degree there was a Jim Jones-esque vibe, and to me that's what made Doge Boy's antics so entertaining and so powerful. Is he was coming in on this very serious kind of cultish event and totally making light of it and almost creating this by default a very sacrilegious antic event, you know, which is absolutely hilarious. And while you were taking a leave of absence, I had Doge Boy as a guest back here on the show, and we had a lot of fun, and we revisited that as well. And you know, in all fairness, you could make the argument that cryptocurrency overall is somewhat of a cult. You could really make the argument at any large group of people with a similar passionate about a similar interest are a cult, really. I guess the difference is do some of those behaviors, rhetoric, could they be seen as disconnected from reality or destructive or harmful? I think you know, the Dogecoin scene is something that's very active, very passionate, very involved. It's kind of crazy, right? But I'd say it's more crazy in a funny, whimsical way. And you know, they're just I guess the main distinct differences that I've seen between Bitcoin maximalist culture and what Dogecoin is doing is most people in Dogecoin have nothing against Bitcoin at all. In fact, many people that are Dogecoin enthusiasts own Bitcoin and see Bitcoin as a necessary part of the cryptocurrency ecosystem going forward. So, but conversely, unfortunately, a lot of the folks in the sector that we're talking about within the Bitcoin culture, they kind of have this weird kind of fundamentalist lens that they look through where no other cryptocurrency is really valid except for Bitcoin. And even their lack of humor and seriousness even kind of shines through in all their memes where it's like there can be only one. You know, they always kind of view themselves as like the Highlander or like the Lord of the Rings or something. And that, you know, no other cryptocurrency has any validity. And it's just like, well, how do you even reason with folks like this? You know, I have a diversified portfolio now. Dogecoin is what I have the highest amount in my portfolio pie, but I am certainly not against investing in Bitcoin. I am invested in Bitcoin, but I'm invested in Ethereum more. But you know what I'm saying, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, people can go look on my Twitter right now. My top tweet right now is literally my day trading portfolio. I have Bitcoin, I have Litecoin, I have Cardano, I had BNB, I've got a lot of Doge. But, yeah, I mean, I think pretty much everyone outside of the Bitcoiners, and that's not to say there are a few Bitcoin people who hold lots of other cryptos as well. BitBoy Crypto being a primary example. But you know, the people who are so heavy in one thing, it's like you put all your eggs into one basket, man. It's like, geez, I hope, you know, if someone is only invested in one thing, like, I hope you've got a lot of money. Because you know, you're going to be riding that thing for a long time for whatever it's worth, and it could screw you up in the end. So sorry,
it's all right,
Caesar. But yeah, you know, I don't care. You know, people want to be on Team Bitcoin, people want to be on Team Doge, and I just feel like, you know, the reason I picked Doge over Bitcoin for a big investment in the beginning, because the people who were in the Dogecoin community were just really like chill, I guess.
Right.
You know, like not like super aggressive and like mean. There's a lot of Bitcoin people who are just straight up mean.
Yeah.
I'm not about that life. I'm probably too nice of a guy.
Yeah, I feel you there, Nick. Good we 11. Thank you for your $5 super chat. I'm a multi-upcoin billionaire, and if Upshot pulls the rug, he's the greatest actor of our time. Yeah, no kidding.
Yes.
I think that's pretty well
like
stated.
Marlon Brando level.
Yeah. 7-1. Am I able to tip Steven Steele or Nick Ballz with Upcoin? I'd love to see you toss a few. I'd love to toss you a few. Let me know. Thank you for what you do. Seriously. Thank you, 7-1. And yeah, I think Nick and I both have Upcoin wallets.
I will put my address in the chat right now.
Yeah. I suppose I will too. I keep meaning to put my Upcoin address in the description template of my videos. It eluded me to do that today, but yeah, I could put that address in the chat for you momentarily. JMac coming in with $5. Thank you again, JMac35. Appreciate it. Nick, any good movies, books, or documentaries that I can get into that really capture what it's like to time travel? Go ahead, Nick.
There is a great movie. I'm gonna have to look it up because I haven't seen it in a long time. But interestingly enough, this movie was made way before Bitcoin was ever a thing. It was made back in maybe the early 2000s, if not late 90s. I'm looking it up right now, so give me a second here. But it's essentially about a computer programmer guy who figures out how to create a time travel device, and he unlocks a multiverse, and he ends up having to kill himself. It's a really low budget movie, but it perfectly describes and perfectly shows what time travel is really all about. And my uncle showed it to me, funny enough. This was, I don't even know, this was back in the probably late 90s, early 2000s. And I'm gonna look for it right now and get you the name of it, but it's really good. It's kind of boring in a sense that it's not like, there's not a ton of like, it's not like Back to the Future. It's like literally what time travel would be like. And if you wanted to build a time machine, maybe you could use this movie as a reference. But I'm looking it up right now.
Okay, well, he's looking that up. I'm going to go to the next super chat. Good Wee, again, coming in with a $5 super chat. Thank you again, Good Wee 11. Also, Steven, I heard you say Depeche Mode is your favorite band. What's your favorite Depeche Mode album? with anything other than a Violator is the wrong answer. Well, firstly, I don't know if I ever said Depeche Mode is my favorite. I've definitely said it's one of my favorites. But then again, to be fair, the older I've gotten, I don't know that I even have a favorite band anymore. I have like favorite songs, favorite albums, favorite bands, plural. But regardless, Depeche Mode for me would be front and center there. So what is my favorite Depeche Mode album? I'm not going to argue with your conclusion of Violator. I think Violator, in all fairness, is an absolutely brilliant album that came out in 1990. I'm dating myself a bit here, but actually purchased that before our digital days, purchased it in a music store, and I wore that release out. I listened to it over and over and over and over again. And my favorite song on that album would probably be Policy of Truth. I would say even argue that Policy of Truth could be it would be one of my top 3 favorite Depeche Mode songs. Another one of my favorite songs not on that album by Depeche Mode is one that I think is underrated called Halo. Of course, I like Personal Jesus like everyone else. And I think for those of you wondering who the heck are Depeche Mode, they were like a seminal Euro pop new wave band throughout the 80s and 90s. And they're still together, as I recall. But if you don't know anything about Depeche Mode, you probably are familiar with one song, their biggest hit, which was called Enjoy the Silence, which was also off the same album that Good We mentioned. You bring up Depeche Mode, you're going to get me on quite a tangent, my friends. So I need to be careful because I could end up boring a lot of people here. I could easily end up talking about Depeche Mode for the next half hour if I'm not too careful. But it does.
I found the name of that movie.
Oh, what is the name of the movie?
The name of the movie is Primer.
Primer.
Anybody that's looking for an amazing, realistic time travel movie, Primer. Please check it out. The budget was $7,000.
What?
Yeah, $7,000 budget, made in 2004, and I think it made millions. Like it was, yeah. No one's ever heard of this movie. It was a clearly very low budget film.
Yeah.
That perfectly describes time travel.
Wow. Say that backwards. Wow. Those are some incredible margins. They made the entire film for seven G's, Nick?
Yep. $7,000. And
it grossed a few million?
Yeah.
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Whoever spearheaded that project had a nice payday.
Yeah, it flew totally under the radar, total indie flick, and it really figures out like it's a $7,000. What's the guy's name who did not Michael? Is it Michael? No, it's not Michael Bay. Inception. Who did Inception? That's gonna drive me nuts. Christopher Nolan. It's a $7,000 Christopher Nolan movie. If you gave Christopher Nolan $7,000, he would make Primer.
Nick, I was just scanning through the rest of this Rolling Stone article about the Bitcoin conference, and I just have to share with you this last paragraph that I found to be really well written and quite hilarious. And it was this one of this journalist observation, this woman's observations at the conference. She says, the most ostentatious booth belongs to Playboy, which has recently undergone a Gen Z friendly makeover. It is no longer a gentleman's magazine. A woman at a booth assured me twice. Okay. The people running the Playboy booth seem just as confused about why Playboy is at a Bitcoin conference as I am. When I asked for clarification, they mumbled something about non-fungible tokens, pour me a shot of whiskey, and point out a display of CBD-infused lubricants.
That sounds incredibly correct.
That sums up so much. That to me sums up so much. Go ahead.
My aunt used to work for Playboy back in the late 80s, early 90s. She was their accountant. For those who don't know, Playboy used to be headquartered in Chicago. And my aunt was their accountant. And
you're kidding.
When I lived in California, I lived in the ghetto, but I had a bunch of I moved from the ghetto of LA to Beverly Hills after my mom divorced her first husband. And I started hanging out with extremely wealthy kids. And one summer we went to a birthday party at the Playboy Mansion. And it was wild. I was like 11 or 12. It was very interesting. As an 11 or 12-year-old.
Wait, you were at a party at the Playboy Mansion when you were 11 or 12?
I was, but it wasn't like you would imagine. It was a kid's birthday party. It just so happened that the kid whose birthday it was, their parent, I guess, worked for Playboy, and I kind of had the in with my aunt from the time. So it wasn't like there was naked girls running around or anything.
Okay.
It was a kid's birthday. There were kids everywhere and parents, and it was basically a pool party with animals. There was animals everywhere, like peacocks and like monkeys and stuff.
Right.
It was wild. It was like that whole time when I was living in California, it was like a fever dream. Like Josh Peck from Drake and Josh was in my French class. Like I was always, I was going to all these parties as a kid, and at the time, this was guys, this was the late 90s. I had dyed my hair blonde, and that's right when Eminem came out. And so I would go to these parties, and although I was 12 years old, from a distance, people would be like, "It's Marshall Mathers."
Yes.
It was just a weird and wacky and wild time, and I'm so glad I'm not there anymore. But interesting stories for sure.
It reminds me of the first 21 Jump Street film with Jonah Hill. Have you seen that?
I did when it came out, but I don't know how many years ago that was. Well,
the gist of the film, which is actually 21 Jump Street, is not an original concept. This was based off a TV series from the 1980s of the same name. It's actually where Johnny Depp got his start, was in 21 Jump Street. And the basic premise of 21 Jump Street, for those who don't know, are young people who are undercover cops and investigators who put themselves in the field, right? And so 21 Jump Street as a concept is not new, but it was repackaged and reconceptualized in 2 full-length feature films starring Jonah Hill and, Magic Mike guy. What's his name again? Channing Tatum. And so in the first 21 Jump Street, they both go undercover into a high school. And the last time they were in high school, I think 21 Jump Street, the first one came out. Hold on, let me Google it quick.
2012.
2012. Okay. So the last time these guys were in high school was in the early 2000s, like 2000, 2001, 2002, right around the apex of Eminem, when Eminem first started popping off. So Jonah Hill, these guys were acting what they perceived to be cool in high school was in 2012, going undercover into the field. And Jonah Hill was dressed, what made me think of it is Jonah Hill went into the field posing as a high school student in 2012 dressed up just like Eminem with the bleached hair and everything else. And everyone is making fun of him for it.
With braces,
oh my gosh.
And a chain necklace and I'm looking at the picture of Jonah Hill right now with bleach blonde hair. This is what I looked like in whatever it was, 99 or 2000. Right there.
Okay, that's what you looked like?
Yeah, white t-shirt, like bead chain necklace. Yeah, bleached hair. I have one picture of me like that.
And you kind of had that Caesar cut?
Yes. Oh yeah.
So you had like you had the bleach blonde Caesar.
Yep. Yeah, that was the thing, man. That was the thing to do.
Oh, that was funny. I can't
remember I don't think I did it because of Eminem though.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I have no idea, but I don't remember doing it because of Eminem. I think I was just, oh my God, so many crazy. Okay, really quick. I went during the summers, right? You go to camp, and I would go to this camp called Camp Beverly Hills. No shit. It was where all the movie stars would drop their kids off for the summer. And I had a friend, and I'll never forget this kid. I hope that one day our paths cross. I haven't talked to him in 20 years. I don't know. But
yeah,
his name was Donnie, and his dad and his mom were like executives at Paramount. And Donnie and I were the only two kids at camp that were like consistently hitting on the camp counselors. Like consistently, we were like trying to get in these girls' pants.
Okay.
And we're like, we're gonna take you out. We're gonna take you out on the town. We're going like we're gonna take you guys out on a date.
All right.
Like, we did this. This went on for an entire summer. By the end of the summer, Donnie comes up to me and he's like, "Bro, my mom said we could use her Escalade." I'm like, "What do you mean? Like we're 12, bro. We can't drive." He's like, "Yeah, we can't, but the counselors can." And I was like, "Oh, snap, you're right."
Uh-huh.
So we got the counselor girls to come to Donnie's house. We go there. I'm like, this is never going to work. Donnie's mom is not going to let us take this brand new... The Escalade just came out. So we get the camp counselors to come. They meet us there. Surprise to me, his mom's like, "Have a good night, boys." I'm like, are you kidding me? So we go to see
this is good.
The Sixth Sense had just come out.
Yeah.
And we take these girls. It must have been like 6 girl counselors. And so this girl is driving Donnie's mom's Escalade into the Beverly Hills Mall. And for those who don't know, it's underground parking. Well, SUVs had just been invented.
Yeah.
And they hadn't, like, widened the structure of the parking garage to fit SUVs. So we go down into this thing, and it's just, you just hear, it's just the roof scraping the whole way down into this parking garage. And we get out, and the roof is, like, crunched down. And we're like... Donnie's like crying. He's like, "My mom's gonna kill me." I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. Like, how did we get in this position? And so we're already down there. The car's already screwed up. Like, so we go to see the movie with the girls, and it was a fabulous night. We didn't get laid. We were 12 years old. But we got the Escalade out of the parking garage. We brought it back, and I'm Donnie had to take me back to his place. I walked home from there, and I'm expecting like his mom to be just crazy. And his mom comes out the front of the house, and he's like, "I'm so sorry, we screwed the car up. It's all screwed up." And she's like, "Don't worry about it."
What?
It's crazy. This was the kind of money that was floating around in the late 90s. It's these people, they're like, "We'll get a new one next week." It's like, what? It was one of the wildest nights of my life, and I was 12.
Wow. So how many of these camp counselors were you two out with? Oh, by the way, let me get this super chat that I didn't get. The last super chat from Sliding Edge for $10. Sorry about that, Sliding Edge, for the delay on that one. Sliding Edge, and thank you for that. Sliding Edge says, I've heard lots of FUD on coins lately. I'd say digital currency investing versus letting the Fed quantitative ease my paper cash into non-existence isn't much of a choice. I'm happy with my Dogecoins. Thank you for that, Sliding Edge, and yeah, I hear you. How many of these counselors were out with you?
I think in total it was about 6 or maybe 7. So it was like me, Donnie, and like 6 chicks.
Wow. And so they were driving around the Escalade?
Yes.
And where did you guys all go? Like out for ice cream?
No, we went to I'm gonna pull it up right now because I can't remember the name. It's called the. I'm pretty sure I lived right by it. I used to rollerblade up there. It was a heck of a rollerblade ride. It was a mall right by Centuries. I think it was in. What was the name of this mall? Very famous mall everybody goes to. La Cienega. Sorry, I'm on Google Maps. Mall. I think it's just called the Beverly Hills Mall.
Mm-hmm.
The Beverly Center. I'm sorry. It was called the Beverly Center. And we went to the movies. Went to go see The Sixth Sense. I'll never forget because I like scary movies, but like I don't know why I was so scared. I was like watching The Sixth Sense now, it's like that's not scary at all. But back then I was like, oh my god. And I was like, I had to like plug my ears because I was like so scared, and I was like, oh my god, I'm totally blowing it in front of these girls.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But
did any of this entire affair result in you like kissing one of these girls or anything like that?
Not that I remember. Maybe Donnie did. I don't think I did.
Wow. Still, is a pretty player move. 2 12-year-old boys out in the town with a bunch of teenage chicks.
Oh my god, that was my time in Beverly Hills was one of the craziest, weirdest, like just strange stuff that went on, especially with women. I think when I was 12 years old, that's when I got like introduced to the ladies. And I was in 7th grade there. I went to Beverly Vista, was the name of the school. And I had a teacher who at the time was dating Will Ferrell. And she tried to, like, I don't know if you'd call it molest, but she tried to, like, bang me.
Really?
And she was so incredibly hot.
Wait, how old were you, Nick?
I was in 7th grade, so I was like 12.
Oh my god.
Turning 13.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
And this, you looking back, you don't think you're maybe reading into this too egregiously? You really think that she had these sort of designs?
It was extremely clear. It was like
what is with these teachers and young dudes?
I can't say what happened on air. Like, I don't want to get anybody
really
in trouble.
Oh wow.
And I actually have tried to look her up like later in life. Unsuccessfully. But she was like crazy hot. She had like giant fake boobs. She like whatever you could imagine the hottest teacher in the world being, this was that lady. But it was crazy because I was like puberty was just starting for me. So like I didn't put it all together, you know?
Yeah.
Like it didn't really register for me. If I was a year older, I would have been like, okay, this is what's happening. But I was just right on that cusp of like figuring out what girls were.
So this was before that you were even kind of figuring out the mechanics of this stuff.
I had a girlfriend at the time, actually.
Yeah.
Who was older than me.
And were you guys, was she flicking your switch then, or?
We were doing stuff, but like nothing really, like what 7th graders do. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
But I still hadn't really put, 2 and 2 together as far as like, oh, like chicks dig me, like I didn't like, really, figure that whole thing out. So, but that's probably, where, definitely where I got my footing with the ladies was in Beverly Hills in the summer, fall of 99 or 2000.
Wow. So, and this was even before the M&M Caesar cut.
Yeah. It was right around that time.
Maybe that's somewhere. What did it, man.
It had to have been. Yeah. Because it was because in 7th grade is when I bleached my hair.
See, that's what did it, man.
Sealed the deal for sure.
That's what sealed the deal. Looking back, obviously, what you're describing there, Nick, is incredibly controversial. And looking back, it's kind of in the eye of the beholder. And you obviously look back at it with quite fondness, and you didn't feel that you didn't find it disturbing in any way.
Oh no, certainly not.
Okay. I'm just being clear for a disclaimer, okay, for the show and people listening. And this pretty edgy, a little bit edgy we're getting into here. So
Miles G's up in here. What's up, Miles? Sorry,
Miles G. Yeah, Miles.
Shout out my boy.
Totally, yeah. Miles has been peeking in here semi-regularly lately. It's always great to see you, my friend. Good to see you.
It's late for him, man. He's in Florida. It's like 1:00 there, almost.
Well, many of us, you're actually more the exception, Nick, but I've noticed many content creators kind of in the crypto sphere, we're weirdo night owls, man. We're weirdo night owls.
Do it, bro.
I know you can't, but but almost every content creator I've met in the kind of the general crypto space that lead very unconventional schedules. I've just noticed that's overall been a common arching thread. So, here we are. You're back at, is this like the early 2000s?
It had to have been 99 or 2000.
Somewhere
around there.
So here you are out in Beverly Hills, the early 2000s. You're just, fresh out of junior high, barely, not even.
Middle.
And you just got your brand new M&M bleached blonde Caesar cut, and your teacher, your well-endowed teacher, is making serious passes at you. And you just didn't know what to do with it.
I had Steven, if I was a year older, that deal would be so sealed they wouldn't be able to crack it open with the freaking. Yeah, like it. I would have. Yeah. It was weird because like that was also the year that I moved back to Chicago, and she threw this whole party for me, and she got all this stuff that she knew I liked. It was really interesting. Yeah, she like cornered me. I'm not gonna get into it. Let's just say I had a fun time as a very young man with a much older teacher, and maybe that's why I'm dating an older woman now. Maybe that is. I never, honestly, until this moment, I have never like thought about that. But maybe that has something to do with it.
Oh my gosh, man! So, yeah, this is an interesting turn for sure. What is it? This is like a very common thing, specifically with. It seems to be a very common phenomenon, specifically with young women who are attractive looking and are also teachers. Seem to have a penchant for their junior high boys and high school students. Have you noticed this?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I
what
do
is
know
it, man?
They are all very attractive.
I know, it's like such a stereotype, a truism now. I will say, when I was
Miles knows what I'm talking about.
He does. Miles is weighing in, man. Miles is weighing in. When I was at summer camp, I'd go to the same summer camp every summer, obviously. And at the end of the week, I would spend 1 week up there, and it would be kind of like a Christian teen kind of adventure, kind of with lots of meetings and activities and things like that. Anyway, there was this girl named Bonnie who drove a Camaro, and she was a wild child. She was like one of these like rocker chicks from back in the day, big hair and everything, and she was naughty. And on the last day of summer camp, she was 16, and I was 12, and she just leaned in, and we made out for like a couple minutes on the last day, and we exchanged phone numbers. And I remember like a couple weeks after summer camp, she drove down to pick me up to hang out one night. And back then I was trying to dress and look like an additional member of Duran Duran as much as I could. So consequentially, my father, I think, my sexual preference was in question at that time. From my father, due to my aesthetic appearance, I was my brother went heavy metal, and I went super kind of flamboyant new wave looking, like Duran Duran, Flock of Seagulls looking. Anyway,
but it worked.
Yes. So this girl showed up at my doorstep and rang the doorbell to pick me up and hang out with me when I was 12 or 13 years old, and she was like 16. And she was dressed really slutty. And so like my dad answered the door, and he's like, "Who are you?" She's like, "Is Steve there?" He's like, you're here to pick up Steve?" And so, well, yeah, chewing on her gum. He's like, "Oh, come on in." And so my dad was like, "Steve, you got a friend here." And so then I like rolled up. I'm like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" She's like, "Yeah, I was in the area. Just want to see if you want to go hang out." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And my mother was home too. My poor mother, completely mortified that her junior high son, this older slutty looking girl, was here to pick up her junior high son. My father, completely relieved and amused, was just like, "Oh, take your time coming back. Here's some extra money, blah, blah, blah." And yeah, that was that was something. So I guess that'd be the closest experience that I have to relate to yours. But yeah, it sounds like both of us kind of started getting our toes in the water around the same time in that regard.
I think it's good. I think it builds character, and I think that creating, or at least building, a good relationship with the opposite sex at a young age, like, makes it so much easier as you get older to have more positive relationships with the opposite sex as you grow. I was fortunate enough for the majority of my life to be raised by women growing up. Like, I didn't have my dad was not around when I was a kid. My mom got remarried way later in life. But because of that, bro, like, I have been a ladies' ever, and I can honestly say my girlfriend now, to this day, thinks it's so weird, but like, I haven't had really virtually any bad breakups. Maybe like one or two, but like, I've dated so many girls, and like, if it ever ended, it ended on a good note, and we're still cool. Not always, we don't all talk at all, but like, yeah, happy birthday or whatever. So yeah, I think it's good to build those foundations for good relationships as a young lad.
Yeah. Tiffany89 says, I've always been into older men. Even my age was too young, but now I'm dating 7 years younger. So yeah, that's an interesting statement there, Tiffany. I think there are, and I would love to have a guest on that really specializes in this stuff more, because I think it's interesting. But I do think that there is a human evolutionary biological hardwiring to the dynamics between older men and younger women. I think there is generally, I'm speaking in generalizations, but I think younger women, there's generally an inherent attraction to older men that is rooted in, I would think, some primal markers,
biology.
Yep. And then, but then here Tiffany says, I was always an older man. Now that she's a bit older, now she's dating someone years younger. So she's gone from being the young lass, the prey of older men, to the in control cougar. It sounds like.
Oh my
Tiffany,
God!
so.
Miles goes, bring an expert cougar on. If my girlfriend was cool with coming on here, I would love to have her on. She probably would never do it, but my girlfriend is a prime example of, that.
Yes.
For those who don't know, my girlfriend is about to be 47 years old.
Yeah, and obviously she looks phenomenal. Yes.
Yeah.
7-1 says, I'm old now, 5 more months. I'll be 40, still feel like 16 in my mind, though, 100%. 7-1, get out of that mind frame right now. Men have a great advantage, and you need to take advantage of that. In terms of overall, men get a pretty good deal on aging in relation to how it affects your dating life, if you are a single man anyway. From my experiences, and I'm no spring chicken, but my age has never really been much of a consequence to my options. And that is predominantly through my own personality, my levels of ambition, and just staying on top of my business and myself, and just make sure that I'm open to positive change, and you're an exciting, fun person to be around. And plus, if you are confident in where you're at and who you are at what age you are at, I would say you about to turn 40, dude, you're still in your prime as far as
for sure.
What women perceive overall to be attractive. And too many times I see men around these ages sell themselves short right at chapters in their lives where they could be killing it more than they ever have. So just a little bit of a pep talk for you. And, we've gotten, on some real interesting tangents tonight.
We are. On this note, I am going to get heading out.
Yeah.
My girlfriend did. So I mentioned on Twitter, I stayed over at my girlfriend's house last night. And for those who don't know, she gets up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym.
Yeah.
So she dragged me to the gym this morning. I did it. I went to the gym this morning when the sun came up. I'm not a fan, but I got it done. So yeah, I'm a little burnt out and a little gassed.
Yes, I understand. And, I know you stayed a little bit longer than what you normally would have in the midnight hour here, but thank you, Nick, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow, my friend.
Sounds good. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. And make sure if you aren't, hit the like, hit the subscribe, join the community. We love having you guys. So appreciate it. Thank you, Steven.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. Dogecoin millionaire Nick Ballz is signing off. It's always great to have him on as a regular. Guys, you are listening to Steven Steele Live, and I am Steven Steele. I'd like to welcome you if you've never watched the show before. This is a crypto-centric talk show, but we kind of just let the conversation go wherever it takes us. It's just that kind of show. So if you're new here, feel free to subscribe and join our awesome, growing little community here on this sliver of the internet. We would love to have you on our ascension to the moon and beyond. And it's always great to have Miles G hanging out in the chat. He's been coming around a bit more, and always good to see him. And check out Miles G Investments on YouTube as well. He puts out a lot of regular. I'm sure most of you are already familiar with Miles. He has a substantially bigger channel than mine, and he does a lot of crypto-centric, Doge-centric kind of stuff, quality stuff. Anyway, we were talking. We got on quite the tangent there, but I think it was a worthwhile one, an interesting one. I came across this article today, guys. Let me see. I'm pulling it up here. This was through Fortune magazine, and the title of the article is "Bitcoin Tanks Even as Inflation Jumps," and that came out this morning. I'm just going to read a few excerpts of it, just kind of the meat of it, and then I'll riff off it a bit and give my thoughts. Bitcoin backers praise leading cryptocurrency as an inflation-proof store of value. They contend that because the number of coins that can be issued is a fixed one. Bitcoin isn't subject to the kind of manipulation priced by the Federal Reserve, the Fed's easy money policies. The argument goes, threaten to cause heavy inflation in the years to come because the central bank keeps swelling the money supply to spur economic growth. The practice is bound to create new dollars faster than the U.S. produces new products, hiking prices faster than salaries and denting the purchase power of American households. And it kind of resolves in a Bitcoin marches to its own drummer, neither by today's inflation nor its expected trajectory in years ahead sets the beat. Fans are struggling to explain Bitcoin's crazy rhythm. To love Bitcoin, it's better to believe and forget about getting wonky and analytical about something too crazy to explain. So a real interesting, unique perspective in regards to this. To a degree, I empathize with this article in terms of, to a degree, every day going forward in the crypto market is a new day, is a new experiment into the future that only has a limited history to reference. So every day, to a degree, we are basically in the middle of an experiment that is unprecedented. Now, we do have enough data, at least to see, get a decent idea of the overall arcing patterns and algorithms in relation to something like Bitcoin. But we are also seeing slight alterations. For example, with Dogecoin, when we are now seeing, I talked about this with Nick and another guest on the show last week a bit. We are seeing Dogecoin more frequently march to the beat of the Ethereum drum, right? So we are now seeing Dogecoin more often, not more often than Bitcoin, but I'm just saying more often in general, kind of mimic the patterns and behaviors of Ethereum. I think overall this is a good thing. Do I think Bitcoin dominance is going to end anywhere in the near future? No, I don't. Do I think it's possible that it does end? Yes, I do. Do I think it will end? Eventually, yes, I do. What would that future look like? What would that mean for the rest of the market, the rest of cryptocurrency? I think that this is, I think this is a positive thing. Look, I don't think it's healthy to indefinitely live under Bitcoin dominance. I don't think it's healthy. I wouldn't want that, even though I'm most bullish on Dogecoin. I wouldn't want Dogecoin to completely dictate the health and sustainability of every other coin in the market due to its Dogecoin's health. I wouldn't want that. So for me, I don't really jive with people like like BitBoy Crypto that Miles is referencing, that really essentially are championing Bitcoin, indefinite Bitcoin dominance. I don't subscribe to that philosophy. I don't think that's good for the market. And I wouldn't want that not just for Bitcoin, but for any one coin. I don't want any one coin to solely dictate the fate of the market. I don't think that's good for cryptocurrency. And I do think that we need to start thinking about a future wherein that is not the case. Steven, did you see BitBoy's video, Miles G Investments? Yes, I did. I spoke on it briefly yesterday. He said, I wonder why his name isn't Bitman Crypto. Miles G says, you raise a good point there, Miles G. Here's a little tip. If you are branding yourself when you are younger, make sure you don't put either the word boy in it or the word kid in it, because eventually, inevitably, you will no longer be a boy or a kid. So then you have to think ahead, folks, because at some point, you are going to be a 70-year-old man, and you're going to have the handle a boy or kid in your name. And there's very few people that can get away with that, unless you are as badass as Billy the Kid. I would not recommend it. And it worked out for Billy the Kid because he lived a fast, hard, and dangerous and short life, right? So if you're planning on sticking around for a while and living past the age of 30-something, I would not advise you to put the word kid or boy in whatever alias that you are trying to brand going forward. But something that I thought was pretty notable in that BitBoy Crypto video, the one I saw he made while he was driving around in his car, and he just again went all in on Elon and made the assertion that Elon was for sure going to sell all his Dogecoin, and that he was just been using Dogecoin and the Dogecoin movement as leverage to further bolster Bitcoin and this sort of thing. And then he also asserted that Elon's the largest Dogecoin wallet belonged to Elon. I believe he asserted that as well. I actually think that'd be an awesome thing if that was the case. But to me, this is wildly irresponsible for somebody in his position, particularly somebody that's literally the most popular crypto content creator on the internet, to just casually say that these things as if they are bygone conclusions, as if they are for sure factual. They aren't for sure factual. These things aren't foregone conclusions. We do not know that these things are true without a shadow of a doubt. So for BitBoy Crypto to assert that they are, and to all his viewers like this, to me is wildly irresponsible and disingenuous. But again, from what I know about BitBoy Crypto's portfolio, I believe it's predominantly Bitcoin. I think he rolled over a lot of his other coins and other investments and consolidated it into Bitcoin. I believe I've heard him talk about that on several occasions. So that being the case, it's really not difficult to figure out why, perhaps anyway, his primary motivations for perpetuating these narratives would be, right? So yeah, but Sound God says, yeah, he's part of the problem of crypto. Yeah, a few people feel that way. Who am I though? I've just got a tiny sliver of the internet compared to that guy. So, just my opinion, guys. Just my opinion. If you have any more questions or comments for me, feel free to put them in the chat, guys. I'm kind of at the end of the news that I wanted to cover for tonight. Aside from this story, this comes courtesy of the New York Post. British cops seize nearly, get this, they seize nearly $250 million in crypto tied to a money laundering scheme. Wow. British police announced Tuesday that they seized almost $250 million in crypto, making it the country's largest such capture ever amid an ongoing investigation into international money laundering. The announcement by the Metropolitan Police's Economic Crimes Central Command Unit comes just weeks after they announced another record-setting haul of $158 million in crypto. Police arrested a 39-year-old woman. Now, on suspicion on money laundering after the first haul was discovered in June. Now, not to be sexist by any means, but how many of you thought this was going to be a woman? Surprise. She was released on bail, but authorities said she's been interviewed under caution over the recent $250 million discovery. We have worked hard to trace this money and identify the criminality it may be linked to, Detective Constable Joe Ryan said. Today's seizure is another significant landmark in the investigation, which will continue for months. Wow, what a charge! I mean, this is pretty major. $250 million in money laundering via crypto. I think it's Sound God says it's not that much. You know what? In the grand market scheme of things, definitely not that much. As far as for one individual, it's a lot to me. For one individual, it's a lot. So I guess I would put it in that context. Guys, I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. This was a lot of fun. You guys have been a great audience. This was a fun show. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. I want to thank Miles G Investments for tuning in as well and hanging out. Alan Schneider, Sound Gods, Abe Bling King, thank you so much. 7-1, Sound Gods, Victor Mendez, Tiffany, Crypto Tank Girl, Beef Supreme, Victor Mendez, Scott, Brian, and the list goes on, Luminal, and the rest of you guys, you know who you are. Thanks so much for tuning in. We will see you soon. I'll see you next time. Tomorrow night, I have a special guest tomorrow night. You don't want to miss tomorrow night's show, where I will be going on at 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, sharp. My special guest will be Sadaf Jadrin. She is a investor, and she comes out of the banking sector, and she's a huge crypto advocate, and just an interesting overall, very sharp young woman. And she will be my special guest tomorrow night. You definitely don't want to miss that. And she'll be coming to us live from Australia. It'll be her first time on the show. Should be a lot of fun. Again, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. This is Steven Steele, signing out.